making changes, self-expression. Um, but ever remember, we are still in the middle of a Mercury retrograde, I believe, and so communications is going to be wonky. The way we express ourselves is going to be very wonky. Um, we must put ourselves into a place of calm and peace when we interact with others. And this next week is going to be more focusing on the inner self. So the first card I picked for this week was the Page of Cups, creative opportunities. And in this card, we see a young, medium aged woman, a bunch of cups, some water. Very beautiful card from the Llewellyn Tarot. And the Page of Cups is about those creative opportunities. The Page of Cups is about intuitive messages from the seen world to the unseen and vice versa. It's about curiosity. It's about possibility. We are entering a new phase of just the world, if you really think about it. Now that we've passed the storm that was the inauguration here in the States, we've got a lot of possibilities, and not necessarily generally in the good sense. There's something going on behind the scenes that I've noticed within some of my own personal tarot readings and my reading of news events. And I'm hearing some very disgruntled things that are occurring or have been in the process of occurring about war within the states. Just because President Biden has been, is now in office doesn't mean these things are just going to slide by. But anyways, beyond that, we have creative opportunities ahead of us. Now's the time where we can really look for those parts of us that we've ignored for the last maybe even a year. Our emotions, our thoughts, our intuitions, the vibration of the web of weird. We've gotten so sidetracked from how we came into the pandemic. So many people had begun to express curiosity to do those things that they've always put off doing because, work or family or, something always came between them. But we've kind of petered out as, the world has been focused so much on who's going to be sitting in the White House that we've pulled back. We've stopped those changes that needed to be occurring. Working within smaller communities, shopping local. We've gone back to shopping in those areas that doesn't benefit the local communities. And so I think now is the time, excuse me, I think now is the time that we will start seeing a fresh set of business opportunities in our local arenas. So, following that, I have picked, amazing enough, the Page of Swords. Now, the Page of Swords goes back into what I was talking about self-expressions, about new ideas, curiosity, that thirst for knowledge, and new ways of communicating. Well, the problem is that I think that we are still coming to grips with new technologies. We are not as savvy as we could be in how we express ourselves. We believe that when we sit in front of the camera that we are expressing our authentic selves. But the thing is in the realm of psychology, we always have a mask. We put on an archetype. We put on the mantle that is the public arena that we want to portray ourselves as. Me, on the other hand, I'm a babbling brook most of the time and stuff. So I have no real brain mouth filter, it just kind of flows out. And it's gotten me into a lot of trouble over the years. And, that's fine. some people, want to sit there and put on false personas and stuff, and that's their internal prerogative. But me, on the other hand, I live myself very authentically. I I'm always looking to find better ways to phrase the things that I would like to say. And unfortunately, with my addled mind, my ADHD, and other associated abilities or gifts, um, my ability to communicate is somewhat different than most of people's. And so I noticed that in the last couple weeks and stuff, I've focused on broadening my horizons in the way of my skill sets. And I've seen this happen within, local community, people I work with and stuff on Facebook and all that. They've really gone back down deep and looking at those skills and abilities that they'd like to manifest. And now it's honestly the best time, because we are beginning this process of going into spring, and this is when we start planting the seeds. And this is very much the same way with planting future goals. So now is the time with the Page of Swords, young man with a sword and his horse, he's about going out there, doing his thing. It's kind of like the story of, I believe it was Peredur in the Mabinogi. His father was a knight, died, mother raised him alone, and so she wanted to make sure that Peredur never became a knight because she didn't want him to die. Well, what does that young boy do when he doesn't want to, be any of these things? When he wants to go out and be like his father and stuff, what did he do? He packs up and heads out. Well, that's kind of what the Page of Swords is telling us here. It's time to go out and search and be curious and ask questions. Sometimes ask the toughest questions, and to really analyze the information that's being brought back to you. So with that in mind, I'm honestly starting to get back into, relearning Quenya, which is, of course, one of the Tolkien languages and stuff. And, of course, brushing up and working on my Welsh. And so that's another aspect of communication is, is that words have a lot of power. And how we use our words says very much about ourselves. Even with the little Freudian slips that creep in there and stuff, it really does say a lot about us. And I'm not saying that, you're more refined if you know more expansive ways to tell someone to go screw themselves. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about authentic communications. Not necessarily just the verbal, but, the facial, the way we interact with each other. We've really had an issue with that since everything's gone, pretty much virtual. That we don't even know how to interact with people, and when we see them in the stores, with COVID and stuff, you're masked up. No one wants to hug and touch, and I completely understand that. Especially with this pandemic. But let's not lose those skills. Let's deepen our way of communicating. And so this next week will be more about focusing on how we are communicating not just with each other, but between the realms, between the seen and the unseen. What do we want to manifest? We have to communicate those energies so that those energies can return multifold. What happens in fairy happens here. It's a interrelated, interconnected ball of fluff. It all works together. And so if you want to make a change through communications, you've got to give up some portion of your power, your energy, whether it's donating time, donating money, whether it's just sitting, being present. You're investing your energy, your time into a needed change. And so, like I'm here today. Today I would have been down in Seattle, having some serious surgery done. But the unseen communicated to me that you're not ready for this by sending me this cold wave that, pretty much made it iffy about whether we even wanted to travel down to Seattle today. And so I had to cancel and reschedule the appointment. And now this may be a natural phenomenon, which every communication is. There's no such thing as supernatural. It is all one and the same. There is no differentiating. It's just more of a, as Robin Arson calls it, the other world is only a sideways step. It's not a going in or out or manifesting transcendental type philosophies. It's the unseen is literally within, around, interpenetrating every aspect of our life. And so the unseen was basically telling us a message. And for me personally, that message was cancel your appointment and reschedule it because I want you to sit here and do a Tarot Tuesday. Well, thank you guys. You could have been a little more nicer about it. But anyways, the next card that I picked, let me go ahead and pull that up, is the Priestess, Lady Cara Dwayne herself. I don't know if you can see that because I'm having issues with my green screen. Yay, technology. But anyways, the High Priestess card is about that intuition. It's about that sacred knowledge, the divine feminine, the subconscious mind. The High Priestess is also very much about manifesting, taking, like I said, before, subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is how the younger self, the child self, speaks with the conscious self. And so the conscious self is very masculine. It's linear, it's logical, it uses words and higher reasoning skills. While the younger self, which is very, I consider more of a wandering soul, a mothering influence, the true root of all being, works within the subconscious. And it is through dreams and visions and all the coincidences that happen that the younger self speaks to us. And so the unseen speaks to us typically through the subconscious mind within our dreams, within hallucinatory experiences. And so now's that time to really harness those inner parts of ourselves to manifest. So now is the time to start those plantings, doing those rituals and stuff of manifestation, working on those rituals of abundance. Do a money spell. Do something to use the skills that you have to manifest what you want in the next cycle. Many of you manifested a lot of stuff, and I'm actually amazed at how many of my friends were able to manifest just enough money to make it through. You're still rocking it, guys. I see you. I see it working for you. And I'm glad that you have chosen me to help you with that process. You guys are going to rock it this next year. But let's ramp it up a notch. Let's wrap it up a notch. And let's work on a deeper level of change in our lives. I want you to pick one thing in your life that you want to change. Make it as specific as possible. And then we're going to work on manifesting that goal, especially within the next moon cycle. So this next week is more about you personally. It's about the individual. It is about each of us manifesting a new change in our environment. From Page of Cups to the Page of Swords. Finally, at the Priestess, we are going to work on manifesting. We're moving from the outer world into the inner world. That is where we are at right now. And on the other side, you're going to have so much abundance. And I want you to really believe that. Because if you don't believe it, all you're going to manifest is more disharmony. Now's the time to really set up your plants. Plant some plants, for heaven's sake. Put your intention in the seed that you're planting and prepare to watch it grow. If you've got that ability and stuff, do it within your home. Take a seed, any seed, it doesn't matter. Grab a seed, hold that seed, speak with that seed and say, Will you partner with me into making this happen? Then state what you want to happen. Then you take that seed, you put it in, and every time you water that, I want you to imagine your energy in cooperation with the energy of that seed, manifesting as it grows your goal. Try that. Just that one exercise this next month. And just watch how it works. So, now that I'm done with the Tarot Tuesday portion, I have a few other things I would like to say to the world out there. One, my video with Josh Simmons and Anna and Isaac was actually better than I thought. Yes, I may have rambled, and I realized that maybe that is part of my madness, my ability to do what I do. I speak with spirits. My whole focus is on relationships. Relationships between the seen and the unseen. Relationships between individuals. How people interact. And the energies that are exchanged. And I felt like I was really addle-brained. That my inability to speak was preventing me from actually putting forth what I think that my familiar spirit wanted me to say. But after reviewing the video, I realized that, no, I pretty much said what needed to be said. It may not be eloquent. It may not be, I don't know how to put it, professional, but I did indeed get across what my familiar spirit needed me to get across to our Jane Doe, and I hope you are doing amazing. Keep rocking what we mentioned. Trust me, it'll work. But to see the synchronicities near the end when we were covering the topic on the JFK conspiracy on whether Oswald was alone or not in the assassination. And we picked up some really, really good stuff. Stuff that if I had the energy to do, I'd probably do some more in-depth research and stuff on that relative of mine that may have been involved in some way, shape, or form. Because I've always had a thing about conspiracy theories. I'll be the first to admit it. I could have easily gone down that track and stuff that so many of people have begun to go down, and how it can manifest in very unhealthy and sometimes embarrassing ways. And I don't know. Maybe that time in the conspiracy world and stuff was a way for me to see just how the things that I am against as a very traditionalist is very much the mainstay of our civilization, of plots within plots, and no one is who they are or who they pretend to be, and there's this conspiracy to sit there and take away your freedom and rights. And, well, the thing is, we've never had freedoms and rights. Not in the last 5,000 years. You know why that is? Because we've been told that what we have now is the best it's ever been. And who tells us this? Our churches, our political pulpits, our scientists. Everyone tells us that mankind is at the pinnacle of what it is to be alive, and that everyone has their place in society, and that's where you belong, and or the opposite and stuff, that you could be whatever you want to be, just not better than me. And so it seeps so much into our lives, this belief that the world's out to get you. Funny thing is yes, the world is out to get you. And the more we believe that humans are out to get other humans, the more humans are out to get other humans. It's about the maintenance of the social structure. We cannot imagine a society of men, of women, of intersex, of transgender, because we are still being held by the same previous lies. And it's sad. We've had plenty of propaganda, especially in my generation, and stuff that, we can have something different. I mean, look at Gene Roddenberry's works. I mean, Star Trek, Doctor Who, all that stuff really does say about what we really want to be at. But it's a society and those around us don't want to have happen. And that is the fact that each individual is a sovereign unto themselves. We have to have governments. We have to have people to tell us what to do. We have to have it because we are afraid to do it alone. We are afraid to be ostracized, to be outside the law, to be outlawed. But the thing is every attempt we have done in the last 300 years has moved us exactly towards those goals. But each edifice of society doesn't want to manifest that. They want to, we've got it good now, let's not ruin it even more. While at the same time and stuff saying they're trampling our liberties and rights. Well, honestly, we have no freedoms and rights because we already gave it away. We gave it away from the very moment we were born. Because we were stuck in a society that doesn't want it any other way. And so at this period in time, I would like my words to touch that part of your subconscious mind that says, I am not enough. And I want you to banish that. I was reading today, like I am wont to do. I am preparing a series of videos for my patrons and stuff, going over Robin Artison's book, I'm Caro Gwyn, and we're going to start with the first chapter. And I'm going through and I'm taking my notes and preparing for the main principles and stuff I'd like to cover in the first dialogue. And there was something that popped up that really changed the way I look on how society works and about how our interior selves works. We have this hierarchy, and we believe we have to have this hierarchy. Something has to be better, bigger, or greater than anything else. But the thing is that that's not true. That is part of the lie that we've been told. When we can reach past that and look beyond these unwise teachings, we really realize that life is not vertical. Life is horizontal. We are merely a small portion and partial aspect of the quantum state of whatever. And that our interactions, the way we eat, our movements, everything has a corresponding reaction, and that it blossoms off into every which where. And that we literally all together create our reality. And because of that, we have a great responsibility. We have a great responsibility on how we manifest. And I just want you to know that you may feel like you are an individuated persona, a personality, a person that is inherently individualistic, and that's not true. You yourself is only a seat of consciousness. You're literally, your cells are each individual living entities that reside within you. You literally are a conglomeration of, you're an ecosystem. And because you are an ecosystem, Your soul level is a ecosystem, and you live in an ecosystem. You literally create and recreate your reality by your participation in reality. And I thought it was like really blew my brain and stuff, and I just wanted to share that with you. And I know I've rambled on far beyond that I probably should, and I just got a lot on my chest right now. It's very rare that I'm able to have the energy and the passion to get everything all set up, to spend over half an hour trying to figure out this green screen stuff. I mean, it's a pain in the butt, to be honest. But, I figured I've done it. I'm up, I'm doing Tarot Tuesday. I might as well just like blab. And, if anyone has anything to say, share the wealth. I mean, I feel that it is important to share time together. Even if it's just me blabbing on a YouTube video, we all need to be able to really interconnect and interact. And I'm not just talking about words on a screen and our little cell phones. We sit there and take pictures and we talk, and we don't use what various forms of life interacting allowed us to be able to speak, which is a very sacred and powerful tool. Something we did gain in covenants with, the world around us. We learned to imitate what other people, what other entities were doing. And that's how words slowly developed, and concepts and all that. Words are power. Every word you speak sends out ripples into everywhere. And people will hear it and be changed by it. This is the interaction. This is the interrelationship. This is relationship. Is communicating. Is interacting on a physical, raw, sensual level. And that we need to step back from the whole concepts of transcendentalism, of looking beyond to the quantum level. I mean, don't get me wrong. This stuff is really good information and stuff. I mean, I guess. But the thing is my spirituality doesn't need science to confirm or deny what I've experienced. There's great wisdom within those things that science calls pseudoscience. There's great things that can be found in stories of fairy tales across the world. And in fact, if it wasn't for those fairy tales, we wouldn't have Disney. We wouldn't have Grimm. And those fairy tales, those folkloric tales, reach far, far back, far even beyond those written words, but to the stories that was told by the fire. And they were true stories of interactions with those here in the seen world and those in the unseen. So if you want to look towards any semblance of a true reality, look towards the experiences that have been passed down before the patriotism, the patriarchy, the misogyny, the transcendentalism. Look before those. Look to when man literally was at the risk of being harmed by nature, which it still is. But look back to those forces that allowed us to create such great edifices, such as timbered homes and stuff like that. It had to do with interrelating with the world around us. And I just want you to really just express yourself. Express yourself. Express your elf. Anyways, so that's a little side conversation from some of the people I interact with. But I just want you guys to know that hopefully I'll be here for Fairy Friday, my first Fairy Friday, and hope you enjoyed what you have here. If you have any questions, I'm contemplating on doing a little frequently asked questions section, or maybe even a question from the week that I'll add into something. I'm ready to start cranking out videos, and I'm in it. So I just want to say thank you for your time, Thank you for your donations. I love you all, and namaste.